It was.
I was
cool.
impressed.
It was way better than your typical mashup where they just.
Oh yeah.
Mashups are
I mean, that guy had
generally
talent.
speaking pretty stupid. Yeah. It was awesome. So anyway, yeah, cool. So here we are. We're back, and you're doing. So you are just to catch everybody. Well, I guess you called him the name of the title, but you are now up to episode 5. You've watched through episode 5, right?
Yep, I've watched technically I think till 6 or 7, but I stopped myself and I'm like, stop you, because I'll just keep going forever. I'm a master binger of shows. So,
well,
but anyways, 5 we're
if
talking.
It makes you feel any better. When you talked about starting to watch the show, I started rewatching it, and I'm about halfway through season 4 now. So,
oh wow, holy shit!
Well, it's completely easier when you're not, paying attention.
You're just it's comfort food for you at this point, kind of. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I can put it on while I'm
still.
Yeah. I can put it on when I'm doing anything. It's about a yearly rewatch for me.
Oh shit, nice.
About a yearly.
I do that with Seinfeld.
It's usually like I watch this every year. I usually watch The Office every year.
Yeah.
I haven't been binging The Office since it left Netflix.
Right.
But that it's sad. Like I have it's that horrible first world problem of having the entire collection on DVD and being like, damn it, I don't want to get up.
I don't want to put in the DVDs.
I don't want to get up every 2 episodes. This is the worst thing to ever happen in the world.
I know. I still use DVDs so much, but I do understand that.
Well, I like having the DVDs, but it was great when it was on Netflix and you just I don't know.
Yeah.
It was so I mean I know it's streaming on whatever app now, but that's just
it's got to be streaming somewhere.
Yeah, whatever
it's
Peacock or whatever one of those Peacock, that NBC is or something. I don't know.
Peacock, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
but it's just one more thing to stream, one more thing to pay for.
So not that I've ever heard anyone really say anything great about this, but I had to pick it up. I just bought this today.
Oh, I have not seen it.
Yeah, I know. I figured why not? I fucking love Ray Liotta. And he's in it. And dude, this movie, I was looking at it on IMDb. It was a fat bomb. Like
I didn't
$50 million budget. I think it made 27 or 37 back.
I actually didn't follow up anything about it. I
can't believe that.
There was a lot of talk about when it came out, and then I didn't hear anything again, which is
not a good sign. Usually.
Why? Because
and it's got John Bernthal. It's got a huge cast.
It's also just me not being active on social media or anything like that.
I wasn't around the time this came out either. I am a little more now.
I'm just blatantly not. I'm just not active on social media at all. I'm trying to think. The last time I posted on Facebook was January of 2019.
Yeah.
So what is that? Like 5 years now, I guess.
Even when I was on Facebook, you didn't post very often, and that was six years ago or so.
Yeah. I mean, I use Messenger all the time, right?
Yeah, same here.
But I don't have a personal Instagram.
Yeah, I know.
I have one for my podcast, but I don't have a personal Instagram. And actually, my podcast is 2 people, so it's like he monitors it way more than I do.
Yeah.
The only reason I even have an active Facebook account is because, again, if you have it's a podcast, but if you have a business page like that, you have to have your own personal page to be able to monitor it. Not like Instagram, where you could just make it your Instagram account.
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah,
I don't have a personal Twitter. Like I just.
Dude, I've never logged on to Twitter ever. I've never even I've never downloaded the app. Yeah, not a Twitter. I've seen some Twitter posts, and I've already made up my mind. It's probably the most toxic thing to ever be on this planet.
Well,
it's more toxic than that stuff from RoboCop that spills on that guy.
It started off where it was all I ever heard was it was just everybody was talking about what like what a celebrity's thinking today, right?
Yeah,
I don't care. No. I don't care what Ashton. I don't know why he's the guy I picked. I don't care what Ashton Kutcher's doing this afternoon and tweeting about it.
Well, I think you're showing how dated you are in your celebrities.
Well, no, you know what though? I was trying to put myself back like 10
He's like 42 now, I think, probably.
Well, no, but what I mean is like 10 or 15 years. I was trying to date myself back to like who were they talking about on there all the time?
Yeah.
But man, I just and then I swear, like I looked at Twitter and I don't know what they call it, but I hate to be that guy, but like the terrible version of English that people use to cram everything. I mean, because the tweets were really limited to how
you
much
only
you
use so many characters. Yeah,
and it's like, dude, it would just make me mad. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I hate to sound like a jerk, but
I've gone this far. I'm not going to use Twitter ever.
You know what though? I have a lot of friends. Well, okay, let me clarify. Not really, but let me not
people.
say I have a lot of friends, because that would be a lie.
Humans.
Yeah. Well, at that point, I might as well just say I'm hung like John Holmes or something. Come on, no, like I know a lot of people that went from using social media to just not using it anymore, and it is crazy how much happier they are.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
And here I am.
I've never looked back onto Facebook. I've never even I never went back for even a day. Like, oh, maybe I'll try it again. I never gave it a second shot.
What kills me is being out of the loop. Every once in a while, there's something I actually would have liked to have known that I'm out of the loop about.
I know, that's true.
But
it's not worth it.
No, totally not. It's but I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't. I was going nuts. Twitter sucks.
And greetings from Mars. I envy you. I'd rather be on Mars.
Unless you're on Babylon 5, because the Mars colony on Babylon 5 is not a place you wanted to be.
Oh, okay.
Again, like the greatest show ever made.
I will get to that show. Maybe I'll get to that after Sopranos.
It is not the greatest show ever made. It's the greatest show ever written. We've talked about that. Like, I'll go on record. Yeah. The Sopranos is easily, if you make that list of great writing. I mean, The Sopranos is on a whole other level. I mean, let's just you can't compare Babylon 5 and The Sopranos. Babylon 5 is an amazing. It's basically like an amazing novel, put to live action. It's not, but I mean, it was written for a show. But where the Sopranos is just, come on, let's take a giant pile of incredible talent.
Yeah,
right.
Totally. Yeah,
the on-screen talent is all really good.
Oh yeah,
and like I've looked into all of.
They couldn't have done it better. They couldn't possibly have been better.
When you look at all of the casting choices that were made, the ones that were made, Firefly is the greatest 14 episodes.
Firefly is cool. I like it.
Well, I don't remember what it was. It was like 14 episodes or something.
Pretty short. Yeah, was it one season? Right.
14 episodes. Actually, you know what other show is, and I shouldn't say this, because I'm afraid of spoilers, and I don't even like putting it out into the world. I have not seen the 3rd season, but The Orville is one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Really?
If you've never watched The Orville,
no,
mind-blowing.
That's sci-fi, right?
Yeah. Okay, so The Orville is Seth MacFarlane.
Okay.
And when it came out first, it looked to me like, well, it didn't look to me. They were pitching it as if it was like a Star Trek parody. I'm like, dude, I don't want to watch a Star Trek parody.
No.
Right?
I'll pass on that too.
There was one great movie. Alan Rickman was great in it. That's my space parody. I'll live with it.
Galaxy Quest?
Galaxy Quest, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's all I need. Like, I don't need another parody.
No.
And the pilot episode of the show definitely screams like this is a parody.
Oh yeah.
But I had a friend of mine. He messaged me. He's like, "Dude, are you watching The Orville?" And I was like, "Dude, no, I don't want to watch The Orville. It looks really like stupid. A bad parody." Once I found out that it's not a parody, it's like it's total Seth MacFarlane being a Star Trek nerd.
Yeah.
Like it was as if
a passion project for him, probably.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was. And in my opinion, it is Seth MacFarlane trying to make Star Trek what it hasn't been since The Next Generation.
Wow.
And then add humor, right? I mean, a great example is, right, Star Trek, it's the Navy, right? You've got 2 enlisted guys sitting next to each other. They're going to make fart jokes.
Yeah, it's true.
They're going to be
any 2 guys that you pick, it's going to happen eventually.
They're going to be hungover. They're going to be talking about women. They're going to be talking about fart jokes.
Yeah.
So that is part of the show. But oh my God, it was so well written and really, really great.
Star Trek always had humor too, It wasn't
the problem is, I mean, like The Next Generation, Picard was really stiff and but yeah, anyway, The Orville was great, but there's just a lack of really great making a more adult Star Trek, and I think about that and I take that as Star Trek for adults, but by that, I even think of it as it was Star Trek not meant for children.
Yeah.
More like they didn't. they didn't soften it. They didn't.
Yeah.
But and actually, what made me think of it is there's an episode. This is not plot. This is nothing to do with the plot. But there is a big story arc to the show. But there's an episode where they land on a planet where everything is about like likes. So if I open the door for you, people will walk by and push the like button, and my
god.
But if I do something they don't like, then my likes go down, and if your likes go down too far, they throw you in jail. Like it's really well, it's typical Seth MacFarlane. There's a ton of really good.
That's hilarious.
There's a ton of really good social commentary in it without going too far. It's it's part dick and fart jokes, part some really well written social commentary, and the rest of it is just a really, really good show.
That's awesome.
At least
Seth he's a talented guy, really. I mean,
and
insanely talented, really.
What again? We'll get back to the Sopranos, I promise, in a second. But it was one of the last things I ever posted on Facebook, and this is the other thing that made me think of it too. One of the last things I ever posted on Facebook was when I was watching the Orville, and I was a couple of episodes in or whatever, and I made some big post where I was saying like, this is great, basically just telling you the kinds of things I just told you.
Yeah.
And a guy I went to high school with, he was the first comment. He was like, I want to thank you for saying that because we've been working so hard on this show. He works in Hollywood. He's a video editor and stuff. But to that point, I didn't realize that he was on that show.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
Again, dude, whatever. I mean, like, that's not a I'm cool thing. It's just like, I mean, he's a video editor in Hollywood.
That is a good example of really cool things that do happen with social media.
Right.
But unfortunately,
this was the guy that we used to work at the same radio station. Like, so, I mean, I've known him since late 90s, right?
Yeah.
And again, of course, he was a radio guy, communications awesome.
Yeah.
But like, it was so cool when he said that. And of course, he screwed with me later, and he messaged me a picture. He's like, here's me in the captain's chair. I'm like, now I actually hate you. But anyway, cool, it was so that's kind of what got me in the Orville anyway.
Yeah.
Besides
that's sweet.
So yeah, one of the things I love about the Sopranos is I love just the casting is crazy. And I've watched and I've read a lot about the casting decisions and things, and some of it was completely accidental. Some of it was because someone gets booked. Some of it was, why would you cast that guy? I don't know,
Yeah.
What I do appreciate the fact that, to my knowledge, nothing on there's no character, or at least no major character, right? None of the major characters were written for somebody.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think Paulie was written.
They were probably like, they wrote it first, and then they're like, now let's go try to find the guys that we envision playing these characters.
To my knowledge, that's how it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to say three of the guys who auditioned for Tony Soprano are in the show.
Yeah.
The guy who plays Artie Bucco auditioned for him.
Yeah, that's what you were saying.
Little Steve, I think I mentioned Little Steven, the guy who plays Jackie Aprile. They were all being considered to play Tony Soprano.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure any one of them could have pulled it off. But it would have been a different show.
Would have been a completely different show.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
all those guys are great in their own right.
I think Artie is that's got to be a hard role to play.
Yeah.
It's a little different when you're just a tough guy, which Tony's clearly not. But some of the more typecast roles where you're just the, you're just the asshole or whatever is a little different. I know Junior Soprano I remember reading that was a last minute one. I mean, he's great.
He is great.
I love him in that role.
Yeah.
Dominic Chase or something like that. I'm bad with names, but
yeah, me too.
So, okay, so this is me, and I'll let you. Okay, yeah.
There's one you'll appreciate right there.
yeah. The show is.
This guy must know you.
Someone must know that I like boobs, but it definitely is not lacking in that department at all.
Not at all.
Certainly. But you know what though? 99, whatever. I think we said the show started, right?
99, yeah.
By Game of Thrones standards, it's mild.
Yeah, true.
I mean, honestly, like, can we say it's pretty mild by? I mean, look, I didn't watch every season.
Especially for HBO.
And because again, this started it all, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can think of There is language, and we talked about this before, like the casual racism and stuff in the show. Like we can.
It's very Italian.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about that being stuff that would probably not be on the show now,
right?
But otherwise, other than like, well, you know, it's one of those funny things. I think about this all the time when I think about language, where back in like the 60s, right? You couldn't have a mainstream movie have the nudity that we have a mainstream movie have now.
No.
It couldn't have the like stuff that most of the stuff that you see on this show, you couldn't have on anything in the 60s.
No.
On the other hand, I always think back of the movie Goldfinger, right? When you've got Sean Connery standing there and he slaps a woman on the ass. He's like, run along, man talk. He slaps her on the ass and says, run along, man talk. And it's like, you couldn't put that on the TV. So it's interesting how those kind of things flow.
Yeah.
And I would say like in 99.
Because back then they were like, that's a normal thing to say.
Yeah, man talk.
It's to be expected even, you know.
And that's what's interesting about the show. And we both talked about this too, about how the casual racism in the show, to me, while horrible as it is,
right,
it gives the audience the respect of saying, look, we're clearly not condoning this. We're saying this is how the characters would act.
Yeah. I mean,
and fine. I mean,
old school Italians, you know, I mean, come on.
But on the other hand, I don't know how much of that would exist on it. But on the flip side,
I'd be willing to say none of that would happen if they were to make that show this year, because they'd be afraid to. Which I get it. You know, I'm not. Yeah,
I mean, it's always hard to say. I mean, I've seen interviews with Mel Brooks about Blazing Saddles, and they're like, "You couldn't make that movie today." He's like, "I couldn't make it then." You know?
Yeah,
he's like, "I couldn't make it then." So I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to think about. But on the other hand, minus that point, minus the racial slurs that they toss around very easily, I think if you look at it now, it in every other way, the violence in the show is tame. I think compared to.
It's true.
A lot of what you see, even again, other than that, the language isn't as bad. It's not really as heavy-handed. I mean, come on, actually, even the show like The Walking Dead, albeit on cable, not HBO, dealing, you know, they didn't have carte blanche to kind of do whatever they wanted. But on the other hand, it's a more gruesome show. At least up till this point in the show where you're at. So. Let me ask you this, and then I guess we can look at the episodes individually. But here's my overall. Hey, good evening. Here's my overall question to you. How are you feeling? Like, just in general, how are you feeling about the show? Like, what are your and we can break down the episodes and talk about your thoughts about things. But so just overall thoughts. I would love to hear your overall thoughts on the show. Characters, you like them, you don't like them. Maybe these opinions change, maybe these don't.
I'm just super hooked to the point where I had to force myself to stop watching it, because I'm like, I'm gonna watch 4 episodes a day, and then this whole thing right here isn't gonna work if I keep up that pace. So yeah, I mean, I absolutely love it. I was hooked from the first episode, and now I'm to the point where I'm like, I can't. It's literally like an addiction. You know, I just want to watch it all the time, because, you know, you're always wondering what happens next. I love the characters. I was already kind of a James Gandolfini fan, like a casual fan before I started this, but like, dude, he was an incredible actor. If you watch stuff that he did over the years, like, sadly, he only really started to, like, he was a nobody before The Sopranos, and even afterwards.
I mean, not everybody, but
and even afterwards, he started. You know, he was in quite a few movies, but I mean, if you watch some stuff that he did, he had actual acting range, and he was a really talented guy.
Well, I mean,
I miss him being alive and stuff.
By the time the show was over, they pretty much have hired every Italian in Hollywood that isn't De Niro. You know what I mean? Really, minus the Ray Liotta, the De Niro's, a couple of top guys.
Yeah,
they pretty much hire every Italian actor in Hollywood, and I say that kind of jokingly,
especially if they grew up in on the East Coast.
I mean, and I mean, lots of them. I'm talking like 1 episode or 2, or a minor character, or whatever. But there's loads of them.
Yep.
Whereas most of this cast, again, other than Dr. Melfi,
Yeah.
are relative unknowns. By the way, interestingly, I don't remember where in the run of The Sopranos this happens, but I recently, last year maybe, I binged the entire show of Law and Order SVU. I don't know
Oh,
why
I love SVU.
started.
Yeah.
Man, there's a point on SVU.
Elias Koteas. I love that guy.
But there's a point in Law and Order SVU where over the course of like 2 seasons, I swear, other than Tony and Carmela, everybody in The Sopranos is on SVU at one point in time. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, not every one of them, but there's
But a lot.
so many. There's Janice is a judge. Actually, Janice is this. She's an incredible judge on the show. Just does an incredible job.
Yeah.
Even AJ's on it. I mean, they're all. It's.
See, I'd have to rewatch now SVU, because when I watched SVU, I had never seen Sopranos. So if I watched it now, I'd be like, oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know if the thing about SVU was I saw the early seasons. After the early seasons, I caught them.
Yeah,
so
I don't know if I saw all of them, but
do you have any like character favorites? I'm just curious. I mean, I think everybody has like their favorite. And it's usually between a couple of people.
Yeah. I think I'm really enjoying watching. I know we've already talked about Dr. Melfi a lot, but I'm really watching. Ever since I saw her and got to know her a little bit, I've been wondering, like, I really want to know more about her. And honestly, I didn't know. I kind of thought maybe she's just the psychiatrist and she never leaves her office, but clearly that's not the case. So I'm enjoying watching her unfold. And I don't want to read too far into it, but sure, obviously she has a lot more history than you know, I'm assuming, because I can already see them kind of bringing her into the forefront a little bit. I almost said foreplay. Jesus Christ. Well, bringing her into the foreplay. But yeah, no, they're bringing her out, which I think is cool because I just like her a lot. Not to sound generic, but I love Tony's character. I think he's probably my favorite out of everybody. Yeah. I am curious to see where Junior goes. So yeah, I think honestly, Melfi and Tony, I think, are my like 2 favorite characters. I love watching them together, and I love his like little boy crush on her, and yeah.
I mean, it's hard. I usually just say my favorite is Polly Walnuts. That's not true.
Yeah.
My favorite character doesn't show up till season 3.
Okay.
My overall favorite character doesn't show up till season 3.
Oh, okay.
But he's also not in the show for the whole run of the show.
Yeah.
The main character, I'll put it this way, of the main cast of like handful of characters, Polly Walnuts, you gotta love.
If you had to choose, I guess, right?
Yeah, or Sil. I mean, Silvio's just great.
Yeah, Silvio's cool.
You know, he's when I mean, I remember when I first started watching, I was like, man, that guy's really overplaying this role, until I realized like he's not. He's doing it. I think he's doing it exactly. I mean, he's doing it exactly the way he should.
I just feel like those kinds of East Coast Italians, they're just so over the top. That's just like how they act. I mean, I live so on the opposite part of the country, but I have met Italians from the East Coast, and everyone that I have met, I mean, they're just like that. They're loud, they're obnoxious, they have a lot of heart, but they're over the top people, in my experience.
You know,
you would know better than me, since you live over there.
Well, but. I mean, I don't remember. I don't remember what I talk about. If I repeat myself 100 times throughout the show, I'm sorry. But I mean, I'm originally from Erie, Pennsylvania,
exactly,
which had, you know, a huge old, you know, Italian population. There's the old story where, and if anybody doesn't believe me, all you have to do is Google the Mill Creek Mall in Erie, Pennsylvania, and if you look at the bird's eye view, it's a handgun. Tell me I'm wrong. Like, Google the Mill Creek Mall in Erie, Pennsylvania, look at it from the bird's eye view, and you go, oh, that's a gun, isn't it? That actually is okay, hold on. I'll let you here. I will show you a picture just so you can say to everybody listening, so they don't have to Google it themselves.
Yeah.
That okay.
Pop
He's
it up.
Not full of crap. Here we go. Hold on. I am messaging I'm messaging this to you. All you have to do is look at your Facebook, and you'll go, okay, he's not making this up. It's even got a trigger. Right? I'm not wrong. It's
you are not wrong.
Nope, not wrong at all.
That almost can't be an accident.
The old story was that the mafia built it, and it's facing City Hall. I mean, whatever. But no, I mean, look, the Donnie Brasco was from Erie, Pennsylvania, meaning the real Donnie Brasco.
Oh shit! I never rewatched that movie.
John Bon Jovi spent his childhood in Erie. You know, because his real name is Bon Jovi, which is just great.
Yeah.
Long story short, I mean, Erie had a very, it still does. I mean, it has a very strong Polish population, big German population, big Irish population, big Italian population. Had the neighborhoods and all that sort of thing, and loads of pizza shops everywhere. I mean, it sounds like I'm being really stereotypical, but it's also very much the kind of stereotypical setting of the Italian neighborhoods and things like that you would see, in Jersey. And Erie was very well connected to New York City and that sort of thing. So as much as I'm German Irish like Tom Hagen, right? But I grew up around. I mean, come on, I don't mean like I grew up around the mafia.
Yeah.
But actually, I did have an uncle. I had an uncle who he ran numbers. Like, I just remember he said he was in high school and he was working at and I swear to God, I had an uncle that was working at one of the Italian bakeries in town. And he said when he was in high school, he would get on his bicycle and ride around town and run numbers. I'm like, dude, it's
awesome.
It's wacky stuff.
My mom used to work for a guy that was he was an actual driver for Al Capone.
That's awesome.
Yeah. When I was a little kid, he showed me some stuff that he had given him. He still had a Tommy gun. He's like, I never shot. He's like, don't get me wrong, I didn't shoot people, but this was given to me by the mob guys. He had an old like 40s Ford car, like old car that he actually used to drive Capone around
with the suicide doors and everything.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
But yeah, so anyway, I do. I mean, God, there's so many characters in the show that I love.
Yeah.
I will tell you,
character-rich show. That's what I appreciate about it.
This will be a common theme that I'll probably talk about a whole bunch.
Yeah.
There's one thing I'll tell you what I think is the most, even though it came out in 99, the most 90s aspect of this show is that you love the show until the kids open their mouths. They're
90s kids.
It's like, dude, it's like I used to hear oh God, yeah, that would just be horrible. Like I'm a big Sylvester Stallone fan, but I can't imagine him playing.
Stallone, when he wants to be good, he can be really good. But
and he's a great writer. I mean, he's a great writer. I mean, clearly he's a great writer.
Yeah.
He's not three-dimensional though. He wouldn't be able to play such a three-dimensional character. He can play a very emotional character. I mean, if you watch the movie Rocky Balboa, which I think is an amazing movie.
It is. Yeah.
Well, because the Rocky movies, it's like there's that joke of like, what's the worst movie ever made? Is it Rocky 5 or Godfather 3? It's really kind of hard. Like which movie could ruin a series? I mean, of a movie in a series of great movies. I mean, clearly, there's movies made.
Yeah.
I don't know. Rocky 5 is pretty terrible. But I mean, he's great in Rocky Balboa.
It's watchable and it's terrible.
Yeah, Rocky Balboa though is great. Rocky 5 is not watchable and it's not good. It's absolutely terrible. Godfather 3, I'm sorry, I'm in the camp of hates it.
I need to rewatch that. I haven't seen it since I was a little kid when I was really loving that kind of stuff.
I've tried. I'll
rewatch it.
Sofia Coppola is so bad in the movie that even if the movie was watchable, she would make it completely unwatchable.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it's. And I'm not alone. I don't think on saying that.
Yeah, no, you're not. You're not alone.
I used to there was always the like if you watch the show, I'll give you an example, like the show Home Improvement, right? Like one of the great family sitcoms of all time.
I loved that show growing up.
When the show turns to shit is when the kids all became heartthrobs, and so they started getting like a lot of time on the show. It's like, dude,
true.
They were horrible.
It was never supposed to be about them.
It was never supposed to be about the kids.
Yeah, they were like background characters at best.
Right. Well, I mean, I know you're not supposed to use this I know we're not supposed to talk about this person, right? But anyway, if you remember back to like the Cosby Show, I know we're not supposed to talk about the show, but the point about the Cosby Show was his kids were all meant to be a foil to him, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Rudy beating him in checkers,
Yeah.
or Theo not wanting to do, not doing well in school. They were the kids were there, at least in the early seasons. The
Yeah.
kids were there for his reactions and the way he deals with them.
Yeah.
A lot of shows like Home Improvement starts that way. We're like, man, this show is great, and then oh my god, when it became about the kids. So the reason I make the joke, but it's
I'm
like,
sure it was like their agents, like, all right, guys, you need to give them more screenplay. They're going places.
It's so bad, but which is hilarious considering that we're talking that show was before Toy Story, and I think a whole zero of those kids had careers after that show, but whatever.
Honestly, they were like up and coming, and then they just didn't really go anywhere. Hope they saved their money.
Oh god. But the reason I point this out is what the actors who play AJ and Meadow, they do such a great job of me wanting to smack them every time they open their mouths on this show.
Yeah. I can't say that I'm really wanting to see too much more of them. I hope they don't, because there's like episodes that I've gotten to where like AJ gets a lot of like all these story arcs about him being in school. Like nobody cares about this. I think they could have left that out.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird when I look at the show. I think if Tony,
it's a very minor complaint. I still love those episodes. Don't get me wrong.
No, I agree. I think if Tony didn't have kids, the story doesn't make sense.
No. Yeah, that's a good point. The dynamic of him also balancing a family, being a family man. Yeah, that's a cool balance, or a cool aspect.
I mean, look at the difference between him and Polly Walnuts.
Yeah,
Polly Walnuts is not married.
Yeah,
he doesn't have kids.
God, do any of them have kids? Any of the other guys?
Yeah.
Do they? Okay, I guess I haven't seen any of them yet.
Silvio does.
Okay.
Pussy does.
Oh, okay.
For the most, Junior doesn't. But I mean, Jackie Aprile does. I will go as far as to say the vast majority of these characters. I mean, Christopher is still young.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of these characters, they have kids, but they're all Catholic.
Yeah, that's
right?
true. Yeah, all Catholics have kids.
The vast majority of these characters are married, and the vast majority of them have families. And I mean, think about it. Like, first of all, in the real world, but also if you think of, the mafia movies. I mean, go back to The Godfather. They're all married. They all have family. I mean, not every one of them, but you got to figure, because a lot of their motivation for what they're doing, their family is a big part of that.
Yeah.
It's like it's the one sliver of humanity that the characters tend to have, is they all have a soft spot for their family.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that AJ and Meadow are just horrible. Like, they're just horrible.
Yeah, they're punk kids for sure.
They're I mean, they're the worst. They're the absolute worst.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't they be?
That's true. Yeah.
Like, is there any way in the entire world?
Spoiled kids growing up with money, and
I mean, they're super spoiled.
Yeah.
They're Carmela is going to enable them in every way. Tony's not going to do anything about it. He acts tough for a second, but he's I mean,
he's a pushover with them.
They're just spoiled. I mean, there is and I know I know what event it happens. I couldn't tell you when it happens in the show, but there is like one specific. It's a trivial little thing, but there's I always remember there's one little thing that says that Meadow says at one point in time. I'm like, there you go. Like that's it. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah, and
there.
I should probably, if any of you guys didn't watch our first episode, I should probably clarify that I've only seen up to episode 5. So in case anyone's like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
Yeah,
I've only seen the first 5 episodes.
I kind of forgot. I mean, maybe for a couple episodes we should remind people what we're doing.
Yeah,
The whole point here, again, Eli, you've never seen what you've only seen it. Well, he said like 6 or 7, but you're gonna watch
like
the
6 or
show
7,
up to where we record, right?
Yeah.
So like we're gonna do this once a week. You'll watch 3 or 4 episodes. We'll come on and we'll talk about it. And
so I went all these years without watching the show for some unknown reason.
Watched it. Yeah, I think I first watched it 20 years ago. I'm making. Yeah, Artie does too. I'm making it up, ish 20 some odd years ago, and I've watched it. I've watched the show at least once a year since.
Yeah.
So it's a show that I've seen, a million times.
Yeah.
And I mean, dude, let's be fair. Like, I don't like the show, and I know you do. But it would be like if we did this with Seinfeld. I've admittedly only ever seen one I've only ever seen one complete episode of Seinfeld.
It's my all-time favorite show, for sure.
I used to turn off Seinfeld because the show would start with Jerry Seinfeld doing stand-up, and I just thought it was so bad. I thought it was so bad that I didn't watch it. And then I had a friend was like, "You got to watch the farting horse episode," and I'm just going, "This is
that is a good one."
No, in fairness, like it might have been funny had I watched the show up till that point.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
At this point, though, I'm like, the humor is going to be so outdated. I'm probably not I wouldn't like it anyway. But that's the point. Like, this is a show that, I love and I've seen a million times.
Yeah.
You've never seen it.
Which
and it's fun I gotta tell you, it's fun for me because I love just hearing, what you think.
Because I have such a different perspective, than
yeah,
anybody on the planet right now, pretty much.
Well, it's hard. It's hard too when you try to go back and remember, the first time you saw something. It's different when it's like one thing, right? Like the first time you heard a band, the first time you heard an album, the first time you saw a movie, that's easy.
Yeah.
But remembering the first time I watched the pilot is one thing.
Yeah.
Trying to remember, what was I doing the first time I watched episode 9?
Yeah, how did you feel? And
and like what things were surprising, what weren't.
Yeah. I'm sure some of it will come back to you, maybe, though. Your memory might jog a little bit.
So episode 3, right, is
episode 3, denial, anger, acceptance.
Yeah. So
and I meant to ask you, did you know this? Did you realize that, like, at least as far as I've gotten, I can't believe how many different people are writing and directing this show. It's almost like different every single episode. Did you know that?
It's crazy. And there are some big name people that end up being writers and directors on the show.
Yeah. I wonder what the reason for is. I wonder,
I don't know.
What? I know they've done that on sitcoms and stuff. But like Seinfeld was on for 10 years, and I think there was maybe, I don't want to say for sure, maybe 4 or 5 main writers, but that's over 10 years. This one, like, so far, as far as I've gotten, almost nobody has worked on it twice.
I mean,
except for David Chase.
There is one name. Like, I remember as a few seasons go by, Steve Buscemi becomes like a guy who writes and directs a bunch of stuff.
Wow.
Where like you see his name coming up.
I'm a big fan of Steve, actually. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I don't. Later on in the show, I want to say it's like season 5 or something. You start seeing his name pop up as a writer, director.
Wow.
Something.
That's awesome.
I only say that because he's a name that will clearly
pop up.
Am I wearing a? Yeah, I'm wearing an Airhead shirt. Coincidentally,
oh yeah.
I will. By the way, we'll probably always wear this hoodie in case people are like, does he ever change his clothes? It's because in my recording studio. Yeah, my recording studio is in my basement. I don't have heat down here. Normally, if I wear a hoodie or whatever, I'm fine.
Yeah, it's cold probably right now, and it is here.
So, it sucks. I'm in upstate New York. It sucks. So okay, so I'm trying to think. I'm clicking through it. So you've got the storyline with the hotel owners, and they're gonna
with the Jewish guys.
Yeah, the Jewish guys. They're gonna get some. What do they call it? A get? A get? They call it a get? Something about they're gonna trying to arrange something with a marriage or a divorce, and Paulie. Am I? Paulie's like hitting the guy in the head with the
Paulie and is it Silvio?
It's Paulie and Silvio.
Yeah, they go to visit him, and the guy's.
I just love when Paulie's hitting the guy on the head with the
with the belt.
you know. And I also love too that you could tell that this was earlier on in the show because like there's times when you're hitting somebody and it looks like it's real, and there's times when it's not.
Yeah.
Like in the pilot when Tony's punching that guy, like
Yeah.
it's like
They
watching, you know, Adam West Batman. Like you're going,
Yeah.
okay, you're really that is definitely one where you're like, dude, his head's over here. You're
Yeah. You're like 3 inches away from it.
You're suspending disbelief.
Yeah.
I get it. I will tell you though, I do remember that being the moment when I was like, dude, Paulie is so cool.
Yeah. Just bashing him with the hotel bell. Yeah.
Beating him over the head with it. So I mean, you've got that. You've got oh yeah, Meadow trying to get X or whatever, whatever drug, I don't remember.
Speed.
Oh, crystal. Yeah, crystal.
Crystal, yeah, crystal meth. Yeah.
I'm one of those, like, I'm so bad with drugs. It's
me too. I didn't know until recently that speed is meth. And I'm like, why does it have its own name? I don't get it.
It's like, I mean,
I don't know.
It's like we always joke, like on my show, how the names for cocaine are just hilarious. Like
there's all
names
these
for coke are just awesome, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like I think the hardest part about doing cocaine would be considering like which cool name you'd want to call it. You know what I mean? Like, is it a bump, a rail, toot, blow? Like, oh god, this is so funny. Nothing else in the world has names that are that cool.
No, I know.
Clearly not condoning doing hard drugs. But so you've got that story.
And that's one of my favorite lines of the. I told you this the other day, where so Tony, after the thing is resolved with the Jewish hotel owners, and Tony goes to collect basically, and the older Jew guy, that sounds terrible. The older Jewish guy, I didn't mean it that way, but so the older Jewish guy is like, we got this figured out, and he the guy's trying to weasel Tony a little bit, and he's like, Tony grabs him and he's like, the Talmud says, and he starts ranting or whatever, and Tony stops him. He's like, I don't care what he says. Yeah, give me my money. Like for those that don't know, the Talmud is a Jewish religious text. Right. Tony thinks it's like a guy. I don't know. Just that's Tony moments like that I love, you know.
Well, I mean, I think we talked last time. I mean, he's not an overly he's not
a street smart guy. Yeah.
He's clearly street smart. Not overly certainly not book smart, despite his semester and a half.
Yeah, his semester and a half
at Seton Hall. I partied at Seton Hall one time, by the way.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, me and a friend of mine tried to throw a party at Seton Hall, and there was like 3 people there, so we partied at Seton Hall.
Yeah,
we didn't go to a party at Seton Hall. Splitting hairs here.
Yeah.
Splitting hairs here. So let's see, right? You've got you've got the great moments with Tony and Artie in the kitchen, right? Where they're where he's
cooking for Tony's house party or whatever.
And then you've got come on. The scene when Jackie Aprile is in the hospital and Tony hires a stripper to be the
that part was hilarious.
Do you know what I love when Tony I don't remember exactly what he says, but when Tony's like, I fooled you, you prick. I don't know why. The fact that he calls him a prick. It's just
busting his balls.
They've been friends, you know, these Tony, that is Tony's best friend. You know, they've been best friends since they were kids. They grew up together. And you know, like, you should have seen your face, you prick. Whatever he says you prick. And I just think that's the funniest. One of my favorite lines. I try to figure out like what's my favorite line of the show. There's a handful that are really seriously in the running for great ones. You've got they definitely they definitely I don't remember how he puts it, but he says like grab a wrench and some, I don't know, lawn shears or whatever he says that he's gonna, you know, He's gonna go full Fight Club and take his balls or whatever he's gonna do.
Oh, to the go grab the bolt cutters.
Bolt cutters, yeah, that's what he's
Yeah.
Threatens
to cut his dick off.
What'd you think about the scene where Junior and Tony's mom are talking? That's pretty cool, I think.
Let's see.
He's
what were they talking about?
I'm looking at, he's like, because he's basically saying that they're disrespecting him because of Tony.
Oh, that's right.
He's gonna have to do something about Tony.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like
I like the talks between Tony's mom and Junior, actually, and because they bounce back and forth between Junior and her, and then Tony will come, and then they'll talk about, and they'll both be talking about each other, you know. Tony's doing this, Junior's doing this, and she's like, I don't care.
the mother is such an interesting character.
She is,
because she's batshit crazy, ruthless. She's everything. Yeah, she's almost like every character in The Sopranos put together. It's weird.
There's a good line that she has, and I don't remember which of these episodes, but anyways, like Tony's talking to her, and he starts to about Junior, I think, and he starts to hint at, Mom, I know you've been around this kind of stuff for a long time. I know you know some stuff, and she goes, I can't remember how she puts it. She's like, I don't know about that side of what you guys do.
Right.
So basically, she makes a comment about how like she's always kind of separated herself. She doesn't really approve of it, you know.
Right, and you know it's bogus.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's much
she knows she does know a little, but you know, she doesn't obviously probably love that aspect of it.
I mean, Carmela doesn't know specifics either.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah. Tony doesn't want to tell her everything, you know.
He can't,
even though he says that he does.
He can't.
Yeah.
He can't, because then you know, if the wives knew what was going on,
then
it'd
be too much for them to handle.
Well, then they're an accessory.
A legal thing. That's a good point. Right? Yeah, that's true.
Well, come on, think about, again, let's go back to The Godfather. Like, you know, don't ask me about my business, Kay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they don't.
There's many reasons.
They don't mix. And then okay, so at the end of the episode, Christopher gets the high colonic. I at some point in time they call it a high colonic. I don't remember if it's in this episode or the next one.
I don't recall that.
When they beat the crap out of Christopher.
Oh, that's right. That's a pretty important part.
They make him think they're gonna kill him.
Yeah.
They called that. Someone calls it giving him a high colonic.
Yeah, and that was Junior's doing.
Yes,
and basically they made it clear, I think, that had Christopher not been Tony's nephew, Junior, he'd be dead. Junior would have just had him killed.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean, and because they kill Brandon.
Yeah, they killed the other guy.
His name is.
Which pisses off Christopher.
They kill him in the bathtub.
Yeah,
which is just.
By that one guy, was his name Mike or Mikey or
Mikey.
And that's another interesting character. He's Junior's soldier, right?
Yeah,
his enforcer, basically. That's Mikey another interesting character.
Absolutely. I love that character. I think it's awesome.
I love how Tony hates him.
Well, wouldn't you?
When they introduce him, Tony's already like insulting him, and you can tell they hate each other, you know. The very first time you see him, Tony's like breaking his balls, but not in a way that he does to his friends. In a way that like, no, I meant that.
What is the line? I think he looks over. He's like, "Oh, hey, it's great to see you in men's clothing," you know, or something like,
or something about your boyfriend,
about, like, not
or
wearing
something.
women's clothing, or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I love about this episode. At the fact that you realize that Junior Soprano has a set of balls on him, and is not a scared old man.
No, not at all.
I'm not sure if you felt that way up to this point, but
I didn't know what to think up to this point. I've been wanting to know what he's capable of, and so around this time is when you start to see it, and I'm sure it gets much crazier, but we won't go there because I'm not there yet. But
well, but I love that. I love that again. It's episode 3.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's
episode 3.
It's episode 3, and it's you're getting a sense of you're getting a sense that Polly will go nuts on someone, right?
Yeah.
Polly's a basket case.
Yeah.
Dude, the Polly weirdness. There's so many Polly being weird moments I can't wait to talk about. There's you see that Syl is clearly not just there to run a strip club.
Yeah.
Okay, so those I really love. So the episode, we're on episode 4, right? Meadowlands, right? Episode 4 is Meadowlands.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. I mean, come on. We've talked before that Adriana is like, come on.
Yeah.
Right? If Adriana, well, I mean, Drea de Matteo, who plays the character, is one of those just like, I don't care if she's your type or not. I mean, not my type, right?
Yeah.
And how you can look at her and not be like, how do you exist? Like, this isn't possible, right? And Adriana as a character, you're like, dude, how do you exist? And how do you end up with that guy? You know?
I know.
what that guy, really, that guy? You know? But did you notice what she says to him when she gets him out of when he's got the the neck thing on?
That part is pretty funny, yeah. Where he thinks that everywhere people are out to kill him.
The fact that she's like, I heard you shit your pants. I don't remember how she puts
it. Yeah, something about him shitting his pants.
Yeah, but she said like, say? I think she says like, I heard you went number 2 or something. And I mean, it's
yeah, that's like one of the first things she says to him.
Because that's what's embarrassing to her.
Yeah.
The fact that he got the crap kicked out of him, all of that stuff. But dude, because he thinks. He doesn't realize that that's why it happened. He thinks
he thinks it's Tony
found out he sold his daughter drugs.
Yeah.
I love
So he finds out that it was Junior, and he's pissed off because killed his buddy. Yeah.
I love, again, we've talked about like Christopher is not bright.
Yeah.
And God, when he says to Meadow, remember when you were a kid, I would can I buy you one of those Happy Meal things?
The Happy Meals. Yeah. She's like, get the fuck out of here.
I'd lose it every time I watch that. I'd lose it at that.
Yeah.
Okay. It's great. Okay. So this is the scene where you mentioned to me, you see some of AJ's room. Right, like the music in AJ's room.
That blew my mind. All the Century Media posters.
The Marilyn Manson T-shirt is right on schedule.
That one you would expect. Yeah, I don't know how Century Media weaseled their way in there, but they clearly did.
Because they've got like a Nevermore Politics of Ecstasy poster in there, and I'm going.
And then Orville, who's like this Norwegian black metal band. That's the last one I would. But they were on Century Media for a while, so
it's one of those weird things where. Like okay, I'll give you a random example.
I know this dumbass kid's not listening to these cool bands. Maybe Stuck Mojo, which was the other one.
No, Stuck Mojo he would have listened to.
Yeah,
I think he totally. I mean, I was never into Stuck Mojo, but they were.
I was never into them either.
Again, I think I mentioned this last time. We always call them you just don't get me mom bands.
Yeah.
Like if he's listening to Marilyn Manson and Slipknot and Mudvayne and wherever we are in the timeline of who would have been popular necessarly at that time.
Definitely
none of that weirds me out. None of that weirds me out.
No.
Dude, come on. Before Dead Heart in a Dead World, like Nevermore was Nevermore was never a big band.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But certainly before Dead Heart in a Dead World, like you kind of had to be this is not a
they were an underground band.
Not that conversation. It's
right.
You're trying to think like, would this character actually listen to that? Like,
yeah, definitely not.
Let me give you an example.
Definitely not.
Let me give you a mainstream example that drives me nuts. The movie School of Rock. Love the movie School of Rock.
I like it.
By the way, if you hear a bunch of noise, that's my heater. My heater turns on. Clear, it doesn't heat where I'm sitting, but
it's heating something up.
It heats
other than where you're at.
Yeah. So, let me tell you what drives me nuts. This is the stupidest point, but I'm making a point out of this. in the movie School of Rock, which I love that movie. I think it's a wonderful movie. I think
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that's good.
The guy who plays Schneebly is the guy who wrote it. Like it's a great movie.
Yeah.
And certainly, you know, it did a lot of great stuff. It actually got those kinds of schools built. I mean, it's great. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie.
Yeah.
There's one thing that bothers me every time I watch it. I can suspend disbelief in that whole movie, except when they're in his apartment and you're looking behind his wall of music and there's a Cannibal Corpse sticker behind his head. And you're
not see that. Wow.
No way in hell.
Yeah.
Again, this is not a you're a poser. It's
right.
The guy was listening to Motorhead and Rush, and he was talking. That's what he was into, dude.
Yeah.
Put a Uriah Heep post. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, he would have been into Grand Funk Railroad.
Yeah,
dude, if you want to go metal, like, dude, he
maybe Iron Maiden, Priest.
He would have liked Iron Maiden. He would have liked Cannibal Corpse. Come on.
Probably not. Yeah.
It's lazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
it is.
With this one, I wonder. You're right. I mean, about the
Airheads had the same thing. Remember the obituary sticker and the Airheads in the van? Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's like a weird one for me too.
Yeah.
But
that maybe is less. That maybe is less weird. Those guys maybe could be into some death metal. I don't know.
That's less weird for me, only because early 90s, those bands were obituary certainly more than the other ones. Cannibal Corpse just being known for being very like gruesome. That was an up and coming new style of music that was not, you know, mainstream. Maybe trust me, I've noticed the obituary one 100 times.
I love that part.
It weirds me out to a point, but not as much as the Cannibal Corpse. But
actually, it made more sense. Yeah, that's true.
What's funny is I never put the Century Media connection together. Because I was more hung up on the Nevermore one.
For some reason, for me, it just for some reason instantly I was like, Century Media. I guess it makes sense because they would have been like, hey, we're going to send you a couple posters from our label. So of course, yeah.
Well, right. I mean, we're the only kind of people that would point.
Yeah, most Sopranos fans probably did not catch on that
because you don't care. He's wearing a Marilyn Manson shirt. That makes absolute perfect sense.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes a lot more sense.
If nothing else, maybe this was a couple of years. No, 99. Yeah, I mean, I think of Marilyn Manson. It still would have been. I totally get. Again, your Slipknots. I get all of those.
Yeah.
Nevermore just weirds me out.
Yeah, it's a weird.
We're talking Politics of Ecstasy. I mean, it's a borderline. They were borderline prog, and I know. Again, people that watch this that are really just into the Sopranos and not metal, this might not make any sense. But you know, can you really see AJ listening to something like deep? You know what I mean?
Not at all.
And I hate being that guy. Look, you're too. Someone once told me, you know, I don't like Tool because I'm not smart enough. I'm like, all right, run along.
Oh God, yeah. That sounds like something a Tool fan would say.
It's exactly what a Tool fan. You know, Tool fans and Dave Matthews fans are like Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Like they're just the worst, right?
Yeah.
They're the worst.
Tool fans are notoriously terrible.
Whereas it's again, it's just an out of. I know it's just whatever they threw a poster up there. It's metal. The fact that he listens to metal makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
but he would have been in a Marilyn Manson. He would have.
Oh yeah,
stuck.
Marilyn Manson was the band or the guy back then for the like teen angst. You know?
Again, any band that you would see on Monday Night Raw, AJ would listen to.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, like when
AJ would have been a new metal kid. I bet you.
Yeah, absolutely.
total new metal.
Totally, and that it fits the character, makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So you have AJ, and he gets in the fight with that kid at school.
Right. That's one of the scenes I was talking about where I'm like, this makes sense, but I could have gone without it.
Yeah, but did it make sense? Okay, I'm with you until the end. I think as far as the episodes of I don't give a shit about your kids.
Yeah.
This episode and the next episode to me are really important for the kids.
They are,
because
true.
This is the episode where AJ finds out what his dad does for a living.
Yep, and Meadow had been kind of just recently finding out. So she tells AJ.
Meadow might not know.
AJ's probably not smart enough to ever have figured it out, but
AJ's a dumbass. Meadow is smart. She is clearly smart.
Yeah.
Meadow is like that. she's like that rich kid that you went to school with that, you know, they get straight A's because they never had to have a part-time job, and mommy
Right.
hired them a personal tutor, and you
Yep.
know, I went to a Catholic school. I knew loads of those kids.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and
they didn't have anything else to be worried about.
Right? Except, you know, their SAT scores and what, sure, whatever. Who gives a shit? That's Meadow. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
AJ's a complete idiot.
Oh yeah.
What? By the way, one thing I love about the show is it's one of the first examples of a recasting.
Oh, for who?
So the kid that he gets in a fight with.
Oh,
right?
okay, yeah. His
nemesis,
basically.
They go and visit his dad.
Yeah.
And the guy like doesn't want, you know, Tony's like, oh, our kids are friends, and he's like, oh, I'm, you know, he's
that part is hilarious.
They recast that guy in a later episode.
Oh, okay. That part is funny because that goes to show like Tony's he's starting to like be kind of bummed out that nobody wants to hang out with him because of his association, you know, like
I think it's hilarious. I think it's
the guy's terrified and Tony's like, come on, come over, let's have a barbecue or whatever. The guy like almost runs away. I gotta go.
And he wasn't doing it on purpose either.
No, anyone would do that, you know. Like I'm not getting, I don't want to get mixed up in this. Yeah.
There are times in the show where that is something that Tony would do.
Yeah.
But he's not. He's literally there to buy something.
Yeah.
You know, he's not trying to bully this kid. He doesn't even know about this fight with
he doesn't.
Tony. So this is also the episode where you find out how Kevin's dad paid for them in Home Alone to all go on the first class flights. You know what I mean? Because is this the first time you see Tony and the detective?
I believe so. Or
is this the first? Or is it not?
Was it this episode? That might have been the next one.
No. Okay. So in this episode, he tracks down Melfi.
Let's see. I think that's in episode. I think that's in the next one.
No, it's in 4. It's in episode.
Is it 4? Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he. Okay, so I lied. We talked about this last time. You find out about him being a dirty cop in an earlier episode, like episode 2. This is the episode where he pulls over Melfi's date and beats the crap out of him.
Yeah.
So I lied. We already knew how he financed their house in Home Alone.
Yeah.
But I love that's a meme that circulates every Christmas. I find it funny. But what's he say to her?
A lot happens in this episode. I kind of forgot about that.
What's he say to her? He's like, you're going out for hamburger and you've got steak at home or something.
Yeah, or prime rib is what he. Yeah.
Prime rib. That's so funny, so funny. And I love that.
I know. She's like, "What the fuck is happening?"
And I love that.
Well, because the guy's a total dick. Like Tony didn't even ask him to do any of that. He's just doing it because he can. He's like, I want to fuck with this guy.
And I also love that Melfi is dating a guy who is clearly kind of lame.
Yeah.
He's
very regular, I guess.
If you get dragged out of your car and get the shit beat out, okay. I understand you're going to be a little fucked up in the head. I get it. But
especially the way that like cops have that power to like, they can totally fuck you over. You know, if they,
of course,
I think that's what he's afraid of too. He's like, fuck man, they could trump up charges and, charge me for something I never did.
I just love that with Melfi, right? And this is a stupid point to make, but as George Carlin once said, these are the kind of thoughts that kept me out of the really good schools.
Yeah.
But
this guy that just commented, he gets us. This is totally.
like yeah, Melfi. Oh, there's so many. There's so many. I have gone on record about Charmaine Bucco, like Artie Bucco's wife.
Yes, you have.
Jackie April's wife, Rosalie. You see her for a minute. She's got brunette and she's brunette with a really annoying voice. She's in with Jackie in the hospital. She's another one that's just like, smoking hot. I mean, Adriana, dude, how does anybody make it? How does any straight male make it through an entire episode of the show without taking a break? I don't know.
No,
you know what I mean? Like,
can't be done.
Like if you invested in lotion and tissues when this show first came out, No. Hey, okay. The Coach Hauser episode is.
I didn't
not
mean.
talking
Yeah,
about,
that.
yeah.
He
has not seen
posted.
the Coach Hauser
He
episode.
made that comment a while ago. I accidentally displayed that.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry
Yeah.
about
Okay.
that. Yeah.
The Coach Hauser episode is a really, really good episode, but we're not there yet. So
Not yet. Yeah.
No. I don't want to spoil anything about that. We'll get
No,
there.
you've done good so far about that. So
I will try. I will try really, really, really hard.
yeah.
Do not ever do anything. Like, I swear to God, I don't watch previews for movies. I don't read the synopsis for a book. Like, I hate knowing much of anything.
Yeah. The less you know is always better.
So all I was going to say about Melfi is, like, she is a totally, I don't mean this politically speaking, she's super conservative. She's very much she's
kind of uptight a little bit.
Kind of uptight.
Yeah.
But man, when she is around these guys, I just, like, with that guy right there, like, you get the feeling that she's around the conservative guys because that's what her brain is telling her to do. But what she really wants is some tough guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she really wants to just go home and get fucked by a tough guy. I mean, it sounds weird, but I mean,
no, I think you're right.
Well, let's be fair. I mean, like, when you think back to when you're in high school, it's like, why do the douchebags always get the hot girls? It's like, well,
true.
In the same way. I mean, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The guys are not looking for the one who's, the nerdy girl in class who's actually going to make a decent would make a real girlfriend. They want the one that's been with every other guy on the football team. It goes both ways. But I love that. I get this is one of those times.
This is the first time you see her outside of her office too.
Right.
When she's in the car with that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, so when I saw that, I was like, okay, they're going here.
It's kind of like if you watch the show Cheers. Do you watch the show Cheers?
Yeah, I love Cheers. Yeah.
The entire first season, there's not one shot outside the bar.
True. Yeah. I didn't
other than the sign, right?
Yeah.
Other than the sign, the entire show takes place in the bar or in Tony's office.
Yeah.
Or in the pool table. There's the three places. And then so season 1 or season 2, like the first episode somewhere else.
Yeah.
But you're right. I guess that's something I didn't.
Yeah, because I've been wondering if that was ever going to happen. Because I didn't know, like, maybe she is just a psychiatrist and that's it. And her character is only to talk to Tony, but clearly that's not the case.
I mean, yes.
They're making her a bigger character.
Without a spoiler, I mean, next to Tony, she's probably the most important character on the show. I think up to this point, she's the most important character on the show.
She is, when you think about it, she is the first character you see in the show.
And she drives this whole show. It
starts out in her office. Tony walks in. I believe you see her first. I think she's the first actor you see on the screen.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Because it starts off in her office and then she calls Tony in and he walks in. But I'm pretty sure you see her first. Or at least you hear her voice. One of the two.
Yeah. Either way, you see her immediately. But she drives the whole show.
Yeah.
Because if you figure, like, every bit of Tony's therapy comes from her.
Yeah.
So I would say next to Tony Soprano, who's more important than her.
Yeah.
I mean, if the show was about Tony Soprano, right?
Yeah.
If that's what the show is about, if it is about Tony, then she's number 2 most important character.
Yeah.
She influences Tony's life way more than Carmela does.
True.
Way more than probably any other character. And if you figure, it's because everything he does with all those characters is she shapes a lot of it. So I mean,
totally.
But I like seeing her. I like seeing her vulnerable. Maybe is the
right word? I do too.
So,
like that guy that she's going out with, you can tell like she's not really that into him. But like you said, she's like, he's a good guy. He's solid. So I should probably go out with him.
It's in her mind to do the right thing.
Yeah.
When what she probably wants to do is go on a date with a guy and like have him pick her up on a Harley. I mean, seriously, like, you get the feeling that that's maybe not what she wants long term, but she really wants some guy to pick her up on a Harley.
More exciting. It's more exciting.
Again, I sound like I was being a pervert. Well,
no,
I was just saying, like, really, you get.
I think you're right.
So one of the so this episode, right? So what's the other? Oh, by the way, I love when Tony goes in to talk to Junior and he's like,
Oh, that's a heavy scene.
oh
Yeah.
my God, that first time when he's like, next
You
time,
better bring a gun next time.
Yeah, next time come heavy or don't come heavy at all.
Yeah.
Like,
And Tony was like, that's funny. And then he looks at him. He's like, oh, you're not kidding.
Dude,
okay.
I mean, this is Tony. This is Tony's uncle, which I'm aware that uncle means dad's brother, but it's his dad's older brother.
Yeah.
Like
that's kind of when you start to realize that, like, all right, yeah, Junior doesn't fuck around. But that's a mafia thing. Business always comes first, You have to always be ready to take someone out, even if you do like them or care about them,
Of course.
Yeah.
So biggest thing that happens to move the story along anyway is Jackie Aprile dies.
He dies, yeah.
In this episode.
I didn't expect that. I thought maybe he'd pull out of it or something, because he was a cool character. I kind of wanted to see more of him, but you don't get it.
So. He's awesome character.
Yeah.
He dies.
Yep.
Dude, by the way, come on. One of the easily, I would say, the best moment of the show up until this point is when the one stripper's like, I'll always remember where I was this day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's
after the funeral.
She's standing there topless. I'll never forget where I was this day. It's like, oh my God. I'm sorry, that one kills me. There's so many. The show does a great job. God, the humor in the show is really, really, really good.
It is.
The show is not a comedy, clearly.
No.
But when it's funny, it's funny.
It's usually subtle. The humor's subtle, but it's perfect. It's perfect.
That reaction to me is just awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you understand what they're doing with Junior?
Yeah.
Do you understand what's going on? As far as
promoting, they're promoting him to he's the new boss. They have the big meeting and they have to decide who it is. I can't remember, how do they decide? Was it a vote? Is it like a democracy, or I can't remember?
Basically,
Tony had a big part in Junior becoming boss.
He even says he can speak for the captains.
Yeah.
Right.
And so Tony wants Junior to be boss, sort of in a selfish way.
In a completely selfish way.
Yeah, because he's like, he's old, he doesn't have a family. If he goes to jail or gets whacked, he's losing less than we would. He
wants the one guy to be boss, but he's like, dude, I'm stepping down, not up. He's like, I have a kid, and so
he wants Junior to basically be the fall guy if it has to happen.
This is the so I guess this and the next episode are mega turning point episodes for this.
Yeah, seriously.
This one you get the turning point that Jackie's out.
Yeah. Junior's making moves right away. He doesn't even wait a day. He's like he's changing shit, and
I love that, but at the same time, Tony's kind of playing him. He's not, but he is.
Yeah, he is, but not to the extent that he expected to.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I don't think he thought Junior would be going as hog wild as he is on.
No, but he was either going to have to fight Junior or figure out a way to work with him. And so he's like, dude, I'll let you be the one that they're going to come after. It's
and so not AJ, but Christopher wanted to go to war with Junior.
What did he say? Like DEFCON 5? Like
he's like two bazookas in each hand and shit.
Hello to my little friends. That's a great.
Yeah, he actually wanted, and Christopher wanted to go kill Mikey, and Tony's like, no, you can't.
Mikey Palmisi, I think.
He said Mikey's a made man. You don't go fucking near him. Like you're not even going to approach him.
Oh, of course not. Yeah, I mean, again, it's hard to keep the Catholic names. It's not even just the Italian; it's the Catholic names.
Yeah,
right? Your Mikeys, your Tonys. The
it's a very East Coast thing, and
very. I mean, for sure.
Add a Y to the end of everything.
Yeah. I mean, and God, the scene
and shorten it.
The scene of Junior at the funeral when he's standing all like, I'm the boss. That's such a cool.
Yeah.
Such a he's a happy fucking camper. I think it's something like that.
Yeah,
like
and everyone's like he looks smug and arrogant, basically. But whatever. He waited his whole life probably to get to that point. You know,
he did. Well, what did Tony say? Like, we've waited a long time for the Sopranos to take the reign. Okay, so it is actually called the DeMeo crime family.
Oh, that's right.
That's actually the name of.
Yeah, it's not the Soprano. The Sopranos are like they're a minor sect of the mafia.
Yeah, it is it's the DeMeo crime family.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got New York, which
New York, yeah. Isn't that where Junior's is Junior New York?
No. Junior's in Jersey with them. The only real character up to this point you'll see from New York is Johnny Sack. Have you seen Johnny Sack yet?
I don't think so. No,
I don't remember.
Not that I know of. Not that they do introduce a bunch of new characters in these episodes, so I could be maybe I've seen him, but not that I can remember.
Johnny Sack's a great character. He's one that people really like because the actor has a really popular cameo page.
Oh, okay.
Where a lot I actually think he's kind of terrible at it. Like, I've watched him, I'm like, he kind of sucks at this. But people just really love him. It's weird. It's weird to say. He's kind of an endearing character. I couldn't remember, but regardless, Johnny Sack is the for lack of better terms, the liaison that they'll have from New York. So no, they are definitely Jersey. There is definitely a New York family, and they work together. Kind of. So episode 5, the last one we're going to talk about today.
College.
2 completely separate stories going on at the same time.
Yeah. Which I thought it was cool. I really liked this episode, actually. I mean, I've liked them all, but this one I just enjoyed.
So let's talk about. I guess we'll talk about the Meadow part second. Let's talk about the Carmela part first.
Oh yeah, lots of Carmela in this episode.
So she's sick, and she's at home.
Oh yeah,
and the priest shows up.
Yeah,
and
I didn't know what to think about that guy first, but I think I'm understanding him a little bit more.
That is a weird, and
it is weird. I kind of feel bad for the dude, but it is. It's awkward and weird. Yeah.
But I mean, he shows up at the house.
But he does that a lot. You already see that early on. Like, they're like best friends. They're like, they're like, they're best buddies.
But he likes to show up and eat their food.
Yeah. She makes good ziti.
She does make good ziti.
I'm sure the fucking Catholic church food sucks,
I mean, it's just funny, but he's always there. He's always there when there's food.
Yeah.
I
and
like
watching movies.
I like that he's got a thing for Emma Thompson, which is just what's the movie? It's Emma Thompson. I gotta look. It's Emma Thompson and Anthony Hopkins. It's
Is that the movie they're watching?
Yeah, it's Remains of the Day. That's what it is.
Oh, okay. I've never seen it, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. I don't think I have either. Emma Thompson's great. I mean, I do like her. I'm a huge fan of the movie Love Actually. I literally bought it the day it came out on DVD back like 20 years ago. I love Emma Thompson. But what does she say? She's like, of all the Fanuc priests out there,
I got to get a gay one or something. Or
no, I get the straight one.
The straight one, yeah, the opposite of that.
Fanuc means gay, so she's like, of all the gay priests. She's basically saying of all the gay priests, I get the that is weird.
Yeah,
like,
well, they both have a thing for each other, obviously.
Sure,
yeah,
sure. I mean, she's clearly attracted to him. He's clearly attracted to her.
Yeah.
But
they both know that would be wrong to act on that.
But if he didn't hurl,
yeah, he might have.
What would have happened if he didn't?
I thought they were going to. I was like, oh, it's going down. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. I think maybe he would have kissed her and then maybe stopped. But at the same time, he is a man and he's a virgin and he's probably wanted to have sex his entire life. So maybe he wouldn't have. Yeah.
It's hard.
It is hard.
It's a weird, and me growing up Catholic and in Catholic schools, like, that scene is weird. It's weird for me.
Yeah. It's
It's
it's an awkward scene to watch, but it is kind of like
I
I kind of get it.
I liked again I liked that it's awkward. That's what makes
Yeah.
it. I mean, I'm
It's
willing to
supposed to
bet.
be. I think you're supposed to feel uncomfortable watching that because
I
it's
I
it's
I think when the
intense.
show is over, right? When you go back and like think of moments in the show, that that scene with Father Anton Tola, is that his name? With him and Carmela, always kind of it's one of the things I remember.
Yeah.
Um, that they almost I don't know. I don't know what they
Yeah.
almost do. I
Yeah.
don't know
And
what
it
they
goes it tells you a lot about Carmela, she's and rightfully so, she's feeling unappreciated and unsought after by Tony, and
and
he gets to do what he wants all the time, and she stays loyal to him.
and the religious thing,
Yeah. And
you
she
know,
would be afraid of going to hell, I'm sure.
but that makes it's weird though. It
Yeah.
almost makes you wonder, does that add to her attraction to him? I mean,
It might.
as warped as this sounds,
It
like
might.
does banging the priest get you closer to God? I mean, I
Yeah.
know that sounds weird, but
Yeah. She sees him as like an authority figure, and a lot of women are attracted to that kind of thing.
yeah, that's just a weird scene. The guy who plays the priest, such an awesome actor.
He's good.
I'm blanking on what else I've seen him in. But again, after The Sopranos, like all of these actors had other roles, like you know,
Yeah,
and
I'm sure.
I've seen him pop up on other things,
Yeah.
I'm always very very impressed by him. When he starts
Yeah,
talking
he's
in Yiddish, which is interesting.
oh
Um,
yeah.
so okay, so last episode you had the first time anything important happened with AJ, right? I mean, okay, the school fight was a MacGuffin, right? Can we
Yeah.
just the whole school fight was just a MacGuffin.
Yeah. It
You don't
was.
give a crap about who he's fighting. It's
No.
just it's literally it's a MacGuffin. It's all we want to do is give AJ a way to kind of find out that his dad is maybe not,
Not a
completely
regular guy.
not a regular guy. If
Yeah.
nothing else, let's figure out a way to make people realize that AJ's dad might be a criminal or a
Yeah.
tough guy
Or somebody
or whatever.
important.
So
Yeah.
that's the MacGuffin.
Yeah. No, it's true.
The entire college trip, clearly a MacGuffin.
Totally. Yeah. And
Clearly.
and that's the first. Yeah. That's yeah. No. Yeah. You're right.
Well,
It
and
is.
you and I talked before the show, and I said that episode 5 is the most important episode of the show.
Oh, you did. Yeah.
Is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see why. Yeah. There's a lot here that's changes your perspective and
So this is and I'll explain what really happened about the show. Again, I found this out years later. This is the kind of stuff that like I don't want you to try to find out because I don't want you Googling it
fuck
because
that. Yeah. No.
you find shit out.
I'm not Googling anything.
No,
Yeah.
no,
No.
I wouldn't either. But what happened in real life was okay. So let's for anybody who has seen the show, just remember what happened in the episode with they're on the college trip. Like who gives a shit? Who
Right.
gives a shit where she goes to college? I
Right.
don't
Yeah.
care. You
No.
don't care.
Not
She's
at
gonna
all.
go wherever the hell she wants.
Yeah.
No one cares.
No.
But he sees that guy that it was an informant and is
Former
now
mafia guy.
yeah, right?
Yeah. I didn't see that coming at all.
No. In real life, when they were writing this show or doing it for HBO, they weren't originally HBO was not going to let David Chase allow Tony to kill somebody.
Really?
This is the first time Tony kills somebody.
Because they wanted to maybe make it like maybe you just assume that he does or has.
Well,
but
or
we
that
don't want you to know
or that he
for
gets
sure.
Christopher to do it,
Yeah.
or that he gets Silvio to do it.
Yeah.
Having Tony put a hit out on somebody,
Yeah.
they were okay with.
Right.
They were
Okay.
not okay with having the main character of the show
Interesting.
kill somebody.
Okay.
That is the reason I say that's the most important episode of the show. Is everything that we think about, again, we talked about Game of Thrones, right? Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, like all of those shows. And actually, I've seen the guys who made Breaking Bad flat out said no Sopranos, no Breaking Bad. No,
No.
it's a direct
Okay.
it's a direct relationship.
Yeah. I can
HBO
totally see that.
did not want the main character of the show to be someone who would kill somebody, cold-blooded murder with his bare
Yeah.
hands. Well,
Yeah.
with a rope, but
Maybe they thought you'd focus more on like the soft side of Tony. Maybe
right.
that's what they
But
want.
the idea of having the main character of a TV series
Yeah.
be literally a murderer.
Yeah.
All
I
of
think
the
that
other
I think
stuff
that
that
had
Tony
to
does,
happen. I think that had to happen.
it
You
well,
had
it
to
did,
see that Tony does have that in him, and
which
he doesn't hesitate at all.
which is
In
why
fact,
David Chase pushed
he
for it.
wanted to kill that guy. Remember, because Christopher begs to let him do it, and Tony's like, "Nope, I'm doing this."
And did you think he was going to do it? I'm curious. Like, did you think he was going to do it himself, or what was going to happen? Or
I don't think I don't think so, to be honest. Because I remember watching it, kind of thinking as it was happening. I remember watching him, kind of stalking him. I think earlier on, no. I think I'd have to say no. I don't think I thought he was going to do it.
I don't remember. I don't remember at this point. I also
Yeah.
probably wasn't thinking about it much when I watched it the first time.
I'm pretty sure I was.
I think. I mean, I was not I wasn't watching it like critically when
True.
I watched the first season. I just
Yeah.
wasn't. But yeah, like that was the big.
Especially since he was with Meadow and stuff in this little town. I'm pretty sure I didn't think he was going to do it. Or at least not yet. Maybe another episode or something. But no, not then and there.
It's the turning point of the show. It's kind okay. I think from a viewer's perspective, it's not the most important episode of the show. Clearly not. Hell, the last episode is way more important for the storyline than this one is.
Yeah, right? Totally.
The fact that Jackie dies, like, that's way more important. At the end of the series, this is a forgettable episode. It's by no means one of the better episodes, I don't think.
Yeah.
It's not a bad episode. I mean, it's a good. There's only I've mentioned this before. There's one episode I will not watch. It's D-Girl. Whatever season D-Girl's in, I'll skip it every time. Enjoy it, man. Have fun with it. I hate it.
And is this the episode where Tony beats the crap out of Mikey?
No, I don't.
Or was that? Oh, I might be jumping ahead. I don't.
No. Like with the staple gun. Like, I don't remember.
Yeah, no, that happens
after
this.
That might be.
That's why I'm stopping myself from going ahead.
Yeah. Well, whatever. I mean, it's not a big deal. Whatever it happens, but like that. It's the most important episode of the show outside of the Sopranos, and I say that because, number one, that is the episode that allowed the Sopranos to be what it is.
Yeah.
Because David Chase had to fight HBO to allow it to happen.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that.
Number one, without that happening, the show never would have been what it is.
Yeah.
And without that episode single-handedly changed television forever. I mean, this kind of thing happens. I mean, there are shows that break the mold and change something for forever,
Yeah.
I mean, when you think of like important TV shows, important TV characters, right? That really break the mold of what. Well, we mentioned the Cosby Show earlier. I mean, clearly, an extremely important show.
Yeah.
You watch, whatever. I mean, I don't care. The Simpsons. Who cares? There are shows that truly changed TV forever.
Yeah.
And the Sopranos, I mean, last episode we talked about stuff like Survivor, those shows. I mean, come on, like reality TV, like I mean, The Real World was doing it before before other shows were.
Yeah.
The Real World was kind of terrible, but
it was
a new thing, right?
Yeah.
It was a
changed things for
right.
For TV.
I mean, like Puck on season 3 was like the original bad guy of whatever, right? Who cares?
Yeah.
But that changed, that changed things forever, and Survivor and all those shows that changed. Again, this is about that same time. The Real World was earlier than this, but again, around the same time as Survivor coming out, American Idol, like all those shows that are really transforming television.
Yeah,
and this is certainly one. And the really large cast is huge, right? Up until this point, you wouldn't watch a show with that many characters going. I mean, what show before this had characters where you couldn't keep them straight?
Right.
You know, like
yeah. The first like 3 episodes, I struggled with that. I was hoping, I'm like, am I ever going to get this down? So now that I am, I'm like, okay, cool.
You know, think again.
Not that I was complaining though.
I hate to keep making the relation to Game of Thrones, but like, you know, I mean, a Song of Ice and Fire is a difficult read, right? It's a difficult read to keep track of characters, but
eventually you do.
Thinking that an audience can watch that show and keep track of all those characters is kind of crazy. So this show, so there's a lot of things that the show does. But making the main character like, oh come on, a show like damn it, what's the show? Shows like 6 Feet Under or Dexter. Shows like that.
I was gonna say Dexter.
I meant I was thinking Dexter more so than 6 Feet Under, but come on. I mean, like, you couldn't. It's one of those. I
didn't know that was a thing that they executives didn't want. I didn't know that. Yeah,
and if you think about it, it's like,
I guess maybe they thought it was too dark or something, or
I don't know. I don't know if they just didn't want. I don't know if they thought people would reject it.
Yeah.
I don't know if
clearly executives, their job is to keep things not artistically intact, but keep things popular. Yeah, profitable. Yeah.
I don't know.
Clearly, they thought that that people wouldn't like that.
I mean, you up until this point, I mean, there are TV characters with, you know, a sense of moral ambiguity. There are TV shows where, you know, main characters say and do things that are, you know, like Archie Bunker comes to mind, you know, where he was a dimwit and he was, you know, all this, but again, you're looking at that and going, like, you're not supposed to believe what you're supposed to be like, really, like, if he thinks that way. But to have him be like a stone cold, like, actual killer. But again, right, it was the late 90s. We're talking, you know, Attitude Era WWE. We're talking Springer. We're talking 5 years earlier. I don't think this could have happened.
I don't think so either.
I think it hit. I mean, timing's everything, right? I mean,
it is.
I mean, we, you know, when we talk about music, like bands that are right, you know, right band, right time. You know, you'll get a band who does something, and then 5 years later it becomes popular, and they're like, "Oh, we've been doing it for 5 years, just no one cared.
No one else was.
You know, we were early, you know, or we were late about it, or, you know, whatever. You have, so that's why it's so. I'm kind of about this episode. I don't.
I get me too. Up until a point. Yeah, like you said, the Meadow stuff is pretty pointless.
It's pointless. It's a MacGuffin. The Carmela stuff is a way better.
Yeah, more interesting.
When I rewatch the show, other than D-Girl, there's 2 episodes. There's one other episode I often skip, but I try not to skip episodes.
Yeah.
Other than 2 that I just really can't stand, I try not to skip episodes.
Yeah.
But I have definitely skipped this episode on rewatches before.
I could see that. Yeah.
The whole episode leads up to a reveal.
Yeah. I love the I love the I do like the car ride where Meadows approaching Tony, you know.
Oh,
and he's like, "No, what are you talking about? No."
Are you in the mafia?
Yeah, and he's like, "What?"
You're right. I forget about that. But again, this is a reveal episode, right? It's Meadow having an honest, "Dad, are you in the mafia?" And of course, he's not straight with her.
No, not at all. He just tries to change the subject.
But he also does tell her, "I'm involved in some things."
Yeah, he says, like, I think illegal gambling. Some of my money comes from loan bookies or some. Yeah, illegal gambling.
I think he says like Jackie Aprile was a loan shark or something. I mean,
he doesn't want her to know all of it. That's for sure.
He does say there is no such thing as the mafia or something like that. But again, it's a reveal.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
It's a reveal episode. And I do like, and actually, I don't think about this unless I'm really talking about it. I don't even think I ever noticed this before. The AJ reveal is in episode 4. The Meadow reveal is in episode 5. Back to back is when the kids find out there's something going on.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they're.
Because Meadow tells AJ, and he doesn't really know what to think at first. He doesn't really believe it, I don't think. But
yeah. I mean, it's weird. It's got to be weird. It's got to be weird because with the guy, with a guy, there's going to be that part of like everybody wants their dad to be a badass and be really important and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the women's role in this show is to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Not like what's going on, but absolutely love every single benefit you get out of it.
Yeah.
Carmela clearly knows her husband's a crook.
Yeah, she knows.
She clearly
she even
knows
talks about it. I think she with the priest, right? She's like, I've known, but I liked having the money and stuff like that. Yeah.
And she likes the power. She likes the influence.
Yeah.
She likes being get what she wants.
But she also is. It also bugs her being a Catholic.
I wonder though at this point. At this point in the show, do you? And I'm asking. This is not something. There is no answer to this because she doesn't say it. I'm curious your opinion of this. At least at this point in the show, do you think that Carmela would excuse every single bit of his behavior if he wasn't sleeping around, if he wasn't cheating on her?
I don't know. I think she does take like her beliefs pretty serious. So I think she does. It does bother her that like just the fact that he's doing these things and she's letting him basically and she's profiting from it. I think those things really do bother her.
I wonder how I just wonder if you take the infidelity, not high infidelity, like because only REO Speedwagon can do that. But sorry, one of the greatest rock albums of all time. A little plug. One of the greatest rock albums of all time is REO Speedwagon's High Infidelity. If you don't believe me, listen to it. It's amazing. Truly, it's one of those just, anyway.
I've never heard it.
Oh my God, dude. Oh my God. Yeah.
Maybe I'll give it a listen.
High Infidelity by REO Speedwagon. It's what, like you, for some reason, like REO Speedwagon, we always joke that like it's when you think of Billy Madison and he pulls into school and he's got his REO Speedwagon shirt on with the collar, like it sounds really stupid. But dude, it's incredible album. But I often wonder if you take that out of the equation, does Carmela have like I'm not saying it wouldn't bother her.
Yeah. But would she be better at overlooking it?
Overlook all of it. She overlooks it, but she doesn't.
She might. Yeah, you have a good point because I'm sure she was a lot happier early on when like Tony was probably giving her more attention and stuff.
Yeah,
and I bet she was a lot happier back then.
The whole Gumar thing is a big thing in the show.
Yeah. She even says, she's like, I was always okay with that because I just kind of, as she goes, I'm better than they are. So and she even says, she said, I always looked at that almost as a form of masturbation.
Right.
Like, he has zero feelings towards these women, which for the most part is true.
Yeah, well, sure. And it's a weird, there is, again, not a spoiler, but there is a character in the show, an important character in the show who is like someone who never cheats on his wife. And it's a very, that's not a plot line spoiler, but there's a character that does that. It's really weird. Like the whole, it's almost, well, you know what? I always think of the, and again, it's hard to not make the connection to analyze this,
Yeah.
But I always think of Robert De Niro when he's like, there's just some things you don't do with the mother of your children,
That's true.
But seriously, when you think about that, like, it's interesting. This is something that I've often wondered about Carmela.
Yeah.
Would all that stuff with her and the priest, would all of her moral problems exist if Tony was faithful?
Yeah, that's a good point.
There is no answer to this question.
Yeah,
right?
no, there isn't. Yeah, she might overlook it a little bit more.
Because think about it this way: every other aspect of Tony's life she benefits from.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'm not trying to make her sound like a horrible person, but
yeah,
they're all horrible people.
Yeah, that's true.
What, except for Melfi
yeah,
and maybe Artie. I mean, up till this point, like who in the show is
that's true.
Who in the show is a decent human being?
Yeah, that's true.
Zero,
Yeah.
right? In varying degree. I mean, like Mikey Palmisi, douchebag.
Yeah.
Complete douchebag.
Yeah, big time.
Have you seen? Up till this point in the show, have you seen Mikey Palmisi's girlfriend?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure not.
Red hair?
No. Okay. Yeah, I think I'd remember that.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. Again, clearly has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
You know, everybody in the show is married or has a girlfriend or something.
Yeah.
His girlfriend's another one. You're like, interesting. We'll talk about her, but sir, I just don't.
What about the whole thing with Carmela not knowing that that Melfi is a woman?
Yeah, right. Well,
Tony doesn't tell her. He actually says he doesn't want her to think that.
She says
and then she freaks out about
first.
It. Yeah.
She says he first, and then he runs.
He just goes with it. Yeah, I guess
he just goes.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
it.
Yeah. Sure, I told him.
And that's
it's that part's kind of funny.
It's interesting where in some ways the gender of your therapist shouldn't matter.
Right.
But I'm willing to bet you anybody who's ever seen one will probably tell you that's not the truth. I think in Tony's case, it had to be a woman.
Yeah.
Had to be a woman.
Yeah. Because he wouldn't be able to open up with another man,
because no man has ever bossed him around.
Yeah.
Women do.
That's true. Yeah.
Or at least women have power over Tony.
Yeah.
His wife does, and his mother does, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And Meadow does. He puts up with shit from Meadow that he wouldn't put up with from AJ. I mean, AJ's an idiot, but wonderfully acted. I mean, like incredible actor. I'm pretty sure after this show he did like a couple of episodes like SVU, but then he he left acting. He's pretty happy about it, if I'm not mistaken. But brilliant. He was great. He was really great at that role. I loved that the kids, again, I'm thinking back to like the Home Improvements. Those kids they don't act like that.
No.
I think there are, of course, episodes like this one that are more about the kids, but I think even these two episodes, right, where you had, and again, I'm aware they're MacGuffins, but you had all that stuff with AJ going to college, and you have all this stuff about AJ's fight at school.
Yeah.
I at least get the feel like it's for, again, whether or not it's just a MacGuffin, but there's a reason for it. It's not just we want to give the kids their time and
there's
kids
some screen time. Yeah.
I mean, it's not though one thing again,
I wouldn't think they would do that on this show. Just screen time just for screen time's sake.
One thing I do know about the show. Okay, so for the record, it's interesting that we're doing this, but there's actually a podcast that exists, and it is the guy who plays Christopher and the guy who plays Bobby, he's not in the show yet. I don't think he's been in the show at all yet.
Doesn't ring a bell.
I don't think there's a shot of him yet, but anyway, pretty sure he picks up season 2, but super important character. And the actors, they do it where they watch every episode and they talk about it.
Oh,
completely
that's cool.
different than what we're doing. We're talking about what we like about it. They're giving like loads of info about it. And I watched some of those.
Technical aspects. That sounds fun though. I'd watch that.
It's super awesome. But by watching it, you pick up some things. That's how some of the stuff that I've learned. I learned it from watching that. But one thing that you learn about the show is that everything on the show is calculated. Like there is, and it is a rare show that is completely scripted. Like nobody goes off script by a word on this show almost ever.
Oh, okay.
Which, I mean, you think like TV shows are scripted, like they are, but
yeah,
I mean, how many great moments in the world were
the actor just goes with it?
I mean, Han Solo, Princess Leia, I love you, I know. That is not the script.
Because if the
right?
director didn't like it, they could have just reshot it, and
You know, and you know, he was supposed to say "I love you too," and they're like, "This is stupid," and they just filmed it and let Harrison Ford say what he that happens, and this show is not.
not like
I
that.
know of, and I don't even know if this is entirely true, but there is one character way later on that I have read, and again, whatever, hearsay, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've read that his character, the arc with a specific character, was the idea of the actor who played the character, and it was the only time in the series that someone influenced David Chase to make a character do something that wasn't in his mind. You know, it's a weird. It doesn't matter now at all, but
Yeah.
this is it is a very meticulous show. Like everything is really calculated. So it's
like
a little
that,
bit
though.
easier to watch those snotty kids. I mean, they're not. AJ's not a bad guy. He's just a shithead.
Yeah. He's just a dumb kid. Yeah.
Meadow's just a spoiled. She's a brat. I mean, you know what I mean? She's a rich, spoiled brat.
Yeah.
I mean, so is AJ. They are in just different ways.
Yeah.
You know, AJ, he's just an idiot. And you're looking, well, he's like, but come on, you know, not
even for
not
his
every
age.
kid is a complete moron.
Right.
Maybe now, but not that generation.
And the next couple episodes have a lot of AJ stuff.
Yeah. I mean, AJ Meadow's going off to college soon, so but Meadow and AJ they bounce in and out of episodes that they're in a lot. There's episodes that they're not.
Yeah.
Like they're not in every episode, but on the other hand, at least I don't think. I don't know. I've never counted.
Yeah.
But there's times when they're central to the episode. I'm trying to think offhand if there's any time where it's completely pointless. Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, you know, like Meadow's relationships with other people and things like that are not pointless. I mean, there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's even just a parenting thing, meaning like seeing how Tony handles things.
Yeah.
Plus, you know, he's in therapy, right? And like what's clearly going and having to kick the shit out, having to threaten to cut somebody's balls off.
Yeah.
Doesn't stress him out nearly as much as his kid getting in trouble at school or something stupid.
Yeah.
Like that stresses him out.
That's true.
He can't deal with that. So
and his mom, stuff with his mom.
Okay, his mom.
Always stressing him out.
What an amazing job she did on this show.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you want to give an Emmy to everybody in the cast.
You do.
You really want to give one to everybody.
Yeah.
But other than Tony, who, you know, because the main characters, like if you were wanted to give like Emmy for best supporting character, like, dude, she's incredible.
Yeah, she's definitely get it.
She's so believable.
Yeah.
As cartoony as
I think that's why they give her so much time, I think, because she's in it a lot. Like she can
hold, and again, from an acting perspective, she can hold her own.
Yeah.
The script, I mean, she is the perfect thing to fuck Tony's entire life up from birth.
Yeah.
I mean, like if anybody was there to fuck Tony's life up from birth, it's her. And it's awesome. It's so great the way.
And that becomes more apparent, the next couple episodes where, you know, he's talking more about her to Melfi and telling her about how his mom was when he was growing up. And, Melfi's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
She did what?
She
said
crazy.
what to you?
It's crazy. I mean, you know, part of it was, you know, the growing up in the old neighborhood kind of thing, but she's also
it just shows that she was like that even when she was younger.
Yeah, she was nuts. She was nuts. I mean,
a lot of moms are, but you know, it's still
we in fairness to the character, we understand that I don't look, I have no idea whether or not this show had any actual impact on this. But if there's one thing the show really does do a good job of is showing problems with, you know, mental health problems.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
You know, you wonder, like, would Livia Soprano been someone who could have, you know, seen a therapist when she was younger and worked it out? I don't think so.
No,
I think she was. I think
she'd be too stubborn.
she was too stubborn. Too much. I mean, too much of a
She's
bitch.
probably one of those people that like, oh, psychiatrists are bullshit. You know,
Oh yeah.
they don't
Oh yeah.
they don't help.
Yeah, we don't believe in that sort of thing.
Yeah,
I mean, look how like the fact that Tony has to hide it. I mean, that's so.
Yeah.
It
He's pissed when she finds out, when someone I can't remember who tells her. Someone tells her, and he did not want his
AJ.
mom to know. Yeah, oh, that's
AJ
right.
tells her.
She didn't believe it. AJ has to say it like 4 times. Yes, he goes. He told me.
I don't know if that's happened. I don't know if that's happened yet, or if that's
that might be another episode.
Whatever.
Or two.
You get the point. Yeah, like AJ says it
because he's a little kid. He doesn't know he doesn't think that it matters. But his mom's like, no, he doesn't. Yeah, I mean, he does. No, he doesn't. Yes, he does.
I mean, it really is a difference in the last 25, 30 years about, you know, I didn't know anybody growing up that saw a therapist, and if they did, they didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm 40, I'm not that old, you know what I mean?
It's definitely more common now.
Now it's well, I mean, it's kind of like, 30 years ago, someone with a tattoo was a rebel. Now the only guy in the room that's a rebel is the one without one.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
Because they're just commonplace. Like, so what? Like, I've got a million of them. Like, who cares? Like, they're fun. But therapists are the same way. Talking about Xanax and all of the or whatever pills that he's on.
Yeah,
those are. I mean, I know a lot of people make the case that, they're overprescribed. Okay, I'm not saying they're not. Yeah. But in fairness, myself as someone who can testify to this, but like I'm not on any antidepressants. I've tried. Like they don't. My body rejects them. I don't do well then.
Yeah, I've tried like 15 different ones over the last. Like,
I mean, look, man, I've seen a therapist for like, I don't know, 4 years. I don't know. I'm making that up. And
it's actually in many cases more effective than the actual drugs.
Well, but yeah, I mean,
the drugs do help a lot of people. I know.
From what I understand, is that the research proves, and look, this is not my area of expertise, okay, but from what I understand, the research proves that both therapy and medication work better when you do both.
Yeah.
Right. It's they make each other more effective.
Yeah.
But I do love that you see that in the show. Look, I mean, I don't know if it was a cultural shift. I don't know if the show had anything to do with it. I don't know. Yeah. I couldn't tell you. I do know that in the 90s, thinking back, like that was the era of, the antidepressants really coming out and being a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so it's totally interesting. It's a generational change for sure that that it's acceptable. I don't know.
Yeah, anyway, I didn't expect to see that at all in this show. I was like, well, okay, and it's from the very beginning. Like, okay,
I mean, cool. It's such a
unique.
I don't know. I think it adds something to this show.
Oh, it adds a lot.
That it's not, and the fact that it's ongoing.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly,
and it's like a central theme.
Yeah, and what's I talked about the AJ and Meadow MacGuffins, but the therapy isn't. No. It isn't a tool to move the.
No.
Right. Like, by the way, I keep saying that term. A MacGuffin is literally it's a literary tool of you make something happen for the sole purpose of getting somewhere to something else.
Yeah. Like, every movie has one. Every
every Harry Potter book or movie, whatever the name of it is, that's the MacGuffin, right? The Goblet of Fire only exists so that Harry can do something so that Voldemort comes back. Like, that's it, right? Whatever it is.
That's true.
And that was, I mean, that's the easiest example, right?
Yeah.
But with the therapy, like, that's not what it is. It's not just it's
so much more than that.
I mean, yes, it's a plot device. Yes. I mean, that is a device that they use in this show to tell the story.
Yeah.
But it's not just there.
No.
It's the story itself. I mean, if you think about it, like that's why I said Melfi's so important. Like Tony's growth.
Oh, yeah.
has so much to do with the psychology of it, and it's and again, I'm not a psychologist. It's not my area of expertise.
Right.
But so much of it is believable. I mean, I don't. It's where we everyone, it's such a trivial point we're saying this because the whole Nevermore thing didn't make sense.
Yeah.
The psychology aspect of the show is clearly well done, and again, an actual psychiatrist or the only thing that's weird for me is that he's seeing a psychiatrist who is a therapist. Like, psychiatrists are typically more of the write you a script and go, and your therapist is someone else. But whatever.
Your therapist doesn't usually write the scripts.
Your therapist doesn't write the scripts, and your psychiatrist doesn't sit with you for an hour every week. But it's again, I'm not saying that I know what I'm talking about, but it certainly seems like they had some people in the room.
I would imagine
they had someone with who knew. They had a therapist or someone who knew what they were doing.
I would imagine, they would have a consultant.
Because if it was one thing, it might be a little bit easier.
Yeah,
but going through all of it, it's pretty interesting. So dude, I'm super glad you got. I mean, I know that it's got to be hard. I know we're trying to do this where you only watch a couple episodes, but
that's why I was saying to you, maybe next time we'll start doing like four at a time.
However you want to do it.
Because it's so easy to do.
I mean, like I said,
to watch more.
on my end, it's really just refresh my memory as to what's in the episode.
Yeah.
Which what I'm really doing is I have two screens. That's why I keep looking this way. But I have a screen over here where I just kind of pull the episode up. And I'm just kind of clicking through it and going,
that's what I did too. Yeah. And I think that's the best way to go. Yeah. Just,
I can
have the
notes,
Wikipedia page up or?
No, I literally just have I don't have anything up. I just have this.
Oh, okay. I've had the Wikipedia page up just to refresh myself.
I did this more or less just because, I don't know. I don't know why I'm doing it this way. I'm more just clicking through it. Sometimes just little visual clues too of, oh yeah, this one. And
that's what I needed too. Yeah, I needed that, or else I would I'd go through, or I'd reference a different episode. I've already done it, so it'd be way worse if I didn't have the wiki page up.
I will tell you the only thing, and I will probably bitch about this the whole show. The only thing I hate about binging this show is how much I hate the theme song to the show. I hate it.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
I hate the music.
I'm not sure how I feel. I don't think I mind it, but at the same time, I think it's just I think I just like the montage. I don't think I like the music either.
The montage is great, but that song is garbage.
Yeah, they could have probably went with something a little bit better.
I mean, I think of something like The Office, where come on, that is like the greatest song ever for a show.
True. It is probably the most iconic.
It's meaningless.
Yeah.
It's meaningless. It's completely meaningless to the show.
Yeah.
Yet it's perfect.
It fits. Yeah, it fits.
The theme to Cheers.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, dude. Yeah. So classic.
Clearly,
Seinfeld's got its theme, and
loads of shows have the perfect theme.
Yeah.
I just, man. So I have that.
It doesn't hold up with any of those that we just named.
You know what I wish? Honestly, number one, I think it's the worst part about the show. I think the biggest mistake they made is that. But the other thing is, so I have the DVD set of Married with Children that has the theme song on it.
Oh yeah.
Because for years, when that was out on video, they weren't allowed to put the theme song on it, because they didn't have the rights to use it that way.
Oh, yeah. They'd have to pay more money
Sinatra song.
Yeah.
It's like, man, could that happen to The Sopranos?
Yeah.
Could they please make The Sopranos where
we can't use the music? Nice.
And there's no, and it doesn't, I mean, it's a stupid thing, but like every time I hear it, all I hear is, I woke up this morning, because it's like, dude, they're not saying this morning. They're saying this morning. And it just,
I'll be honest. Yeah. I can't pick out most of the lyrics in that song. I'm just like, I don't know what this guy's saying. It's just kind of
it's so bad.
It's more percussive to me.
A friend of mine was like, that song is trash. And I'm like,
I could see that. Yeah.
And I don't think it fits the mood. I don't think except for if I got myself a gun, it's stupid. I'm not telling you I know what the right one is. Okay. I will say I'm happy. Speaking of Frank Sinatra, I'm happy they didn't do the typical let's do an Italian crooner guy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, what would it be? Something very stereotypical?
I don't know what it would be. Maybe it was I'll put it this way.
Or something like The Godfather, something more along the lines of that theme music,
Which, by the way, when Guns N' Roses do that, that's just awesome. On the User Illusion Part 2 Live in Tokyo video, which I actually have on VHS, it's over there somewhere. They cover that. And Slash playing it, it's super cool. It's one of those, another great moment.
I could see that working.
If you've never seen it, it's really awesome watching Guns N' Roses live doing the Godfather theme. It's incredible.
I didn't even know about it. To be honest.
Yeah, it's great thing they do. But yeah, it's I'll put it this way. In thinking about it now that we've talking about it, it was the right direction for a song. It was probably the right direction for the song.
Yeah.
Meaning it's the right mood for the show.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like it kind of fits in a way.
It's just shit. Like
it's not something that you would ever want to listen to, or if there is an album like that, or I don't know. I'm sure whoever made that song is probably a songwriter of some sort. I'm sure they've done more.
It's the right direction. It's just as if like they should have been like, yeah, but could you write a different song, kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, the last thing I'll say before we're done, music is really important in the show because they use, the Bada Bing always has cool music playing.
Yeah.
Like that. Damn it, hold on, I gotta remember the name of the song. Okay, like for example, the song "Living on a Thin Line" by the Kinks is, next to, the greatest like stripper song ever written is "The Zoo" by the Scorpions. But like the "Living on a Thin Line" by the Kinks is number 2 by a long shot, like one of the greatest, like, but they use that on the show, and like they're so conscious about music on the show.
Yeah,
they're really, really conscious of music on the show, and you'll see it as you go through it.
Yeah,
it's like the only one
not to the point where it's like overly focused, or like, oh, we're just playing this song because somebody paid us a lot of money to, or whatever.
They definitely don't. Don't. They pay a ton of attention to it, and make the damn use the song by the Kinks. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, hey, and I don't know if you have anything else you want to add before we make like.
No, I think we pretty much we literally got to the last. We talked about the very last stuff that happened in episode 5, which is pretty much with Carmela being pissed that Melfi's a woman, and then I think they talk more about that into the next episode. I think it kind of ends there.
Yeah, for sure. That's
and she gets. I think she pretty much gets over it. But yeah,
there's
more about that in episode 6.
I don't think
he was pissed at first.
I don't think Carmela cares that it is a woman. I think she cares.
No, she was mad that Tony didn't tell her.
Yeah, though I don't, and we can talk about this later. I don't even think that's true.
No, I don't either.
I think she'd be pissed that it was a woman either way.
Yeah.
And I think she would have told Tony not to see a woman. I think she would have.
Yeah, and that's why he lied about it. Yeah, that's why he lied about it.
She said don't. But all right. Well, hey, if you're cool, I'm ready to get out of here.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait.
It's late your time,
man. I'm telling you, season 1 is good. Season 2 is like the most popular season. I'm a season 3 guy. I
can't even imagine. I can't even imagine because like season 1 for any show is always the weakest season. So I can't imagine where this is going to go because I'm already just And I'm sure I'll look back. I'm sure I'll look back at some point and be like, yeah, season 1's not the greatest because that's what I do with every show that I love. Again,
this is not the next. We talked about this. This is not the Next Generation where like season 1 is like, oh my god. I mean, it was probably cool when you first
Slow
saw
to
it,
get there.
but like watching back, it's like, dude, I can't watch clean shaven Riker episodes. I just can't do it.
I hadn't thought about that. I'm curious to see what I'll think once I've seen everything. Will I be? Yeah, I'm curious to think with hindsight, what I'll think about.
My bet is if you want to rewatch the show, there might be episodes.
I will.
I know you well enough to know you probably will watch every episode when you rewatch it. But
yeah, I will.
I would think like you would be willing to maybe skip a few episodes more. Like again, the one we just watched.
I'm weird though. Like there's a couple Seinfeld episodes that I don't like as much, and I never skip them.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would. You strike me as the type.
I'm a completionist. Yeah,
I don't skip many. Like I said, there's two.
Yeah.
One always. There's two. There's two episodes I skip.
Yeah.
When I
that's not bad. 2 out of what? 86?
Just because I literally hate them.
Yeah.
One specifically, but it's because of a character in it that is so like nails on a chalkboard. Like I just can't do it. But anyway, we will talk about that when we get there.
We will.
Awesome. Yeah. Hey man, this was fun. I can't wait to do it again.
Same here.
Next week. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna get out of here.
All right, man. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Have fun.
All right. Bye.